trying to think of all the things that, you know, like that aren't here anymore, especially like in the city of Gardena and stuff. And there are a few. The good thing is there's a few things that are still around that we still have. First of all, Big Donut, and Pup and Taco. It's like, and there's a whole story. You can look it up online. The guy that started Big Donut, and we do have some Big Donut. You know, there's one in Gardena, but it's not. It's no longer called Big Donut. It's like, and there was, I think, 5 or 6 of them. I'm not sure, and they were basically like South Bay. I think there was, you know, one up in L.A. They actually became the one up in L.A. that's off the freeway. I think it's the 405 freeway. Is now Randy's. Randy's actually now is using kind of like that look and that logo and so on. That the look of the giant donut. But you know, fortunately, they're like, in a way, they're still here because the, you know, the big giant donut things are still on top of the roof, are still there. So we're lucky we have that. But you know, what happened was the guy that started the Big Donut thing, he sold that chain to start something called Pup and Taco. And I actually have a Pup and Taco t-shirt. I should be doing this with my Pup and Taco t-shirt on. So the Pup and Taco, you know, it's like, and they had really good, it was also a small chain. They had really good, both the tacos and the hot dogs were very good. And I remember distinctly, you know, going there as like a teenager and stuff. My parents would take, you know, my mother would take us over there after we'd go out and stuff. And it's like, oh, you know, it was like a treat to go to Pup and Taco. So I really miss Pup and Taco. But like I said, there's a whole story about that. There were department stores called Zody's. Zody's and Whitefront. And you know, these are all really popular stores and stuff. You know, some of the buildings are still around. They're just used for something else. Newberry's. There was a Buster Brown Shoes in Gardena. I think it was on Crenshaw and like I think it was south of Rosecrans. I think it was like you know, near Marine or Compton Boulevard. You know, used to be actually Marine used to be called Compton Boulevard, but they changed it. Gemco is now actually like there's a Target in Gardena and Redondo Beach Boulevard, and that's actually used to be a Gemco years ago. One of the things I really miss, and the building's still there. I think they turned it into something like an insurance company or something now using it. But I think you could see part of the you know, like the design of the building and stuff. But it's called Tin Sings. It's also on Redondo Beach Boulevard. That had some of the best Chinese food I've ever eaten. I really miss Tin Sings. And actually, one of the guys, the cooks, actually started his own restaurant, but that's out of business now. You know, it's like they put out of business. Winchell's Donuts. There are Winchell's Donuts still around, but not as many as there used to be. There was one in Gardena, Redondo Beach Boulevard in Normandy, I think. It's now, I'm not sure what it is now. Right now, I'd have to go back and look. The Tijuana Inn was near the corner of, it was on Redondo Beach Boulevard near the corner of Vermont, and it was, you know, like right next to where the Gardena Memorial Hospital is now. But it was next to it, and it was pretty popular. It's like, and I kind of missed that one. The Blue Lantern. That was, I'm drawing a blank on that run right now. The Zebra Room, which that's in more recent years that closed up, and that was around for ages. It's like it was on Hawthorne Boulevard, like in, I don't know, I think that's Torrance. It's like in you can still see the design and stuff, and I don't think they turned it into anything else yet. One of the things I miss is Ascot. Ascot was a raceway. We did a lot of, like, if you were like a young guy back, you know, like the 70s and stuff, you know, and you were, you know, like to ride your motorcycle, or you had a car you like to ride. It's like they would let anybody go there pretty much and like race their car or their motorcycle at Ascot. And it's like, I miss Ascot. It was on Vermont and I think it's just south of Artesia Boulevard, and it was on the east side of the street. You know, it was a good site, and they at some point they bulldozed it a long time ago, and now it's like housing or something. So. But that was a really interesting piece, and actually there used to be another racetrack, you know, because it was really popular back then. It's like there was another racetrack on what's it called? I think it was on Western and like around 135th or something, like somewhere in that area. I actually don't remember it. Somebody else was telling me about it. And you know, one of the nice things that is still here is what was called the Park Theater, which is now the Gardena Cinema, and we're still trying to keep it open. I'm actually a volunteer for the Gardena Cinema, and please, if you're watching this, you know, it's like go to the Gardena Cinema and watch a movie there, because it's like it's one of the few single screen movie theaters that's around in LA County. It's still there, and we're trying. It's like, and then there was dairies. We used to have dairies here when I was a kid. Distinctly remember going with my mother to dairy. There was one on. Apparently, there was one where the Target is now, but I kind of don't remember it. Somebody was telling me about it recently. But the one I remember was on like. It was just south of, right close to Artesia Boulevard, and or south of, anyway, south. No, I think it was more like south of Redondo Beach Boulevard in like Crenshaw, and it's a housing tract now. It's been a housing tract, but they used to the dairy had, it was the cows and everything, and at some point the cows went away. They, but it was still like a dairy. You could still go there and get your milk. And I remember this, like, bottled milk with the cream at the top. It's like, but that's long gone. Pioneer Chicken, we missed that. There was one on the corner of, I think it's an Asian to go place right now. It was on the corner of, I think it's Normandy and Redondo Beach Boulevard, but it's been gone for a long time. There was a Ding Hao, that was a good Chinese place, and that was in Torrance. We do have, one of the things we still have is the Goodyear Blimp, which I actually rode on. I got to ride on the Goodyear Blimp with a few people. That was back in 1979. I got to ride on the Goodyear Blimp when I was working for Carroll Shelby Enterprises. It's still there, they've had different versions of, they have a new version of it now, which is kind of cool. Old downtown Gardena, it's like, some of the things are kind of still there. It's like, but it's like they still have, and I really like old downtown Gardena or Gardena Boulevard. They have there was a health food store there. I remember going there. It's like where they made shakes and stuff, like health food shakes. And I remember to go in there as a kid with my mother. Let's see. And let's see, and then there was a candy store also on Gardena Boulevard. I remember going there for my grandmother. She sent me there to pick up some candy and stuff. One of the other good things that the drive-in theaters, we still have the Rodium, which is still on the weekends does still play movies, but it's mostly used as a swap meet during the week and on the weekends and stuff. But I'm glad we still have that. That's on Redondo Beach Boulevard. And it's not in Gardena, it's just outside of Gardena. That might be considered Torrance. It's huge. It's one of the very few drive-in theaters that are still left. We also had at the time, back in the day, we had the Twin. There was it was 2 screens. I think it was over on Figueroa. And then there was the Vermont Drive-In, which was on Vermont Avenue. And I think that was probably Gardena, but that's been gone for a really long time. So it's a Twin. Fry's Electronics, that's very sad. That's more recent closure. It's that was the place to go to. It's like it was like a party. You go in there if you're bored or something, you wanted something to do. You go to Fry's, and it was like entertainment. You buy some electronic stuff and stuff. It was really cool, and I especially liked they did all of the stores in a theme. The one that's up in I guess it's North Hollywood or Burbank. It's had a it had a UFO thing, and the building's still there and everything. And if you drive by it, it still has the spacecraft, the space saucer, crashed into the building, And then there was one in Manhattan Beach, and I think that one had the Alice in Wonderland theme. Very cool. It's like, sorry that they're gone. Then the railroads, it's like the railroads that we still have, I remember somebody ages ago, one of the reasons they moved to Gardena is because they had, they liked railroads and stuff, the engines, hearing the trains going by and stuff, and we still have old tracks, most of the tracks, some of them closed up, but we don't have, the railroad traffic isn't like what it used to be. Once a great while you'll see a train go by, it's kind of rare. I think that's all I can think about right now.